Okay, hi, I'm Aubrey Adams, and I'm sitting here with my friend, Will.
Hi.
And Will has a special place in my life. He is a young man in recovery that has relapsed multiple times and has had a recent relapse, and he is working hard and earning his way back to like a program he wants to get in that we're part of. And Will has also been one of my host kids in my home during a period of time where he was sober for a long time. And since then, he's done really good and just had a slip. This last slip was pretty scary. He was talking to me about, so he is willing to share his experience, strength, and hope in order to provide education for the world, pretty much. And he knows that I'm going to publish this on everybrainmatters.org, where we're calling for a cultural change. And we'll just have this conversation. And Will, do you give me permission to videotape you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So Will, do you want to talk, first of all, about where you're at in your recovery process?
Yes, I will sum it up. I've been in recovery for 2 years, multiple rehabs, and yeah, I've been in multiple programs. A few of them didn't work out, like sober high school, stuff like that, which is surprising those are a thing, but they didn't end up helping me out. And the program I'm in now has helped a lot. But even then, I lied about getting high for a long period of time. But I'm coming back from that. And right now, I'm not, I'm on the brink of homelessness, but,
So where are you living right now?
well, I'm not going to give specifics, but third ward. So.
Well, and most people that see this probably won't know what that is because we don't even need to talk about what city we're in or anything.
Okay.
But you're in like a sober living situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A sober living in a really bad part of town.
Okay. So that's not fun for you. That's not where you
No.
want to be. And you're working hard. You have to earn your rent there, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And that's why you have called me up because I need help, and you're able to earn some money with me, and you help me with my dogs and some chores around the house, and I'm very grateful for that because I've been through some stuff lately, and I really need the help lately. So I'm glad you're here. And then I'm glad you reached out too because you can come here and get something to eat and relax a little bit, and kick your heels up too if you want to. You know that this is a comfortable place for you to be, and that we love you and we support you 100%. So can you tell me a little bit about how marijuana played a role in your addiction? Was it a gateway for you, or was it just part of your addiction?
Both. So I started smoking cigarettes around like 11, maybe having a few beers, but weed led. It was definitely a gateway drug. Smoked weed for the first time, smoked weed a few other times, and then moved to another drug. The first time I tried it, it's Xanax. The first time I tried it, I overdosed, blacked out, got arrested at my school, and had to go to another program, and had to go to juvie. And I feel like we did play an important role on that, getting me started.
So let's clarify that. So that the Xanax led that. You got in trouble once you mixed marijuana with Xanax, or the marijuana alone did that?
Marijuana with Xanax.
Okay. And I always educate everybody that marijuana and Xanax are very popular to use together because the marijuana increases anxiety, paranoia, and the Xanax decreases that. So you're trying to manage your emotions, right?
Yes, because I can't really use weed without being extremely paranoid, anxious, and it's actually always been like that. Like too much sensory of everything makes me panic. But mixing it with like downers, which is what I did, definitely took away the anxiety, and I could use more and more, and I could get higher and higher, and that's how it was for a while.
That's a really good point to make. And people just think, oh, people just use marijuana, and then marijuana alone, like, in making you paranoid, you're reaching for something else to try to manage that, and
Yes.
and just feed that feeling you were trying to achieve.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so lately, you were sharing with me that your last relapse was really scary. And first of all, we know that fentanyl is everywhere, and that it's being mixed with marijuana. We have fentanyl pills out there. I know they keep saying it's laced with fentanyl, but there's actually fentanyl pills that are being sold under the disguise of Xanax and other opioids and just, whatever the drug dealers are going to call it, because they're just trying to hook as many people as they can because they want to make money. And the younger the person is, the more vulnerable they are. And they know they have to target our youth, our young adults, our teens for this. And so you were sharing that you were using some pretty intense drugs.
Yes, and so I wanted to share a little bit about me going back out. First, I'll share about the drugs that I was using. Then I want to kind of share about Delta-8, if you'd be interested in that.
Yes.
So I was staying at a friend's house in my program, and I started off by stealing medication because I was so desperate to get high. And after I did that, it led to another thing, then another thing, then another thing. And at the end of it, I was using cocaine, oxys, meth, heroin, fentanyl, and it got really scary. I got to the point where I was about to commit suicide, and I realized I don't want to die. I want to survive. And the fentanyl definitely impacted that. I had fentanyl Xanax. I had fentanyl heroin. The meth was probably mixed with fentanyl. And every night I would do it, and like I couldn't breathe. I could feel myself dying. I could feel myself nodding off, but I didn't care because like I was so addicted that I chose getting high over my own life. And yeah.
That's really scary. And I'm glad that you're here, that you survived all that, and that you're working your way back to where you can be where you want to be. And do you think the fentanyl is increasing in our city here, or do you think it's about been the same the past few years?
Well, no, or yes, I think it has been increasing because a few years ago, I've always bought on the street. I've never bought from the dark web or any of that. And I never got sold fentanyl and anything like cocaine, Xanax. I never had fentanyl like in that stuff. But now buying like from street dealers, you have to be really careful, or I mean, just don't do it, obviously. But you could die easily. Everything's laced now. It has increased so much.
Okay, now let's share about the Delta-8. So you kind of have a job that's kind of under the table working for a smoke shop, right?
Yes, I do.
So why don't you just talk about what's happened there?
Okay. Can I share about like first me using Delta-8 and how it affected me?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So when I ran out of drugs, I went to a smoke shop and bought Delta-8. I didn't have anything else, and I didn't know what it would do. But I feel like it gave me the same effects as like THC 9 or I don't know what you call it, like weed. I feel like it gave me those same effects, like the mind high, and I got paranoid on it. I freaked out on it, and I got too high on it, just like how it was like in the past with weed. And No, I don't feel like it should be legal to anybody. Like 18-year-olds can go out and get this stuff and it's messed up. And like smoke shops sell to people under 18. Like the part where I live at, it's a bad part of town. All of the smoke shops sell to underage kids and it is messed up. And I don't know if the smoke shop I work for in particular does that, but I mean, I'm I'm under 21 and they sold nicotine to me, so you know.
Um, so let's explain to the viewers more about what Delta-8 is. So hemp is legal in our state, and they're selling CBD products, hemp products throughout our state. And what is happening, a New York Times report just came out this past week, and it talks about how the marijuana industry, the hemp industry, is taking the hemp and changing the chemical of THC Delta-9 into THC Delta-8 to get around the fact that there's no laws against that. So they're selling them out of smoke shops, and they're enticing our youth to get them hooked and to feed the addiction crisis to make money. It's a addiction economics. It's a addiction for profit industry. So I think the viewers don't understand. They think of hemp as something that's not dangerous and that it's for CBD and that, it's nothing's gonna be bad with those laws. But you have firsthand experience buying THC Delta-8 from smoke shops, and you are saying to us that it gave you the same effects of THC Delta-9, which is illegal.
Yes, definitely, especially without a tolerance to weed, because I didn't have a tolerance towards weed, and yeah, it gave me the same exact effects. It was scary because, like, how is that legal, I don't really understand it, because we are in a illegal state. Like, how, I don't understand how they can do this, like, bring stuff like this into a illegal state, like for marijuana. And I think it's messed up.
And you were saying that the people that work at the shop were enticing you.
Oh, yes. I've actually been to a few smoke shops, and so I would try and buy nicotine. And they would try and get me to buy CBD Delta-8, and I'm not lying about that. Like, it actually happened, and I thought it was crazy because they would literally try and get me to buy it. Like, I was with my friend and we were in a smoke shop, and he was like, "Oh, I think you want to try this. Oh, I think you want to try this." And I was like, "No, I'm in recovery. I don't want to try that." And yeah, it's really uncool.
Was he saying that it would help your recovery or not harm you or anything like that?
Oh, no, but he didn't say any of that. I never said anything like... He didn't say anything like that. I don't think he understood. But the other smoke shop, the one by where I live, I told them I was going to call my sponsor to see if CBD was okay, because, like, I didn't know, like, much about it. I knew about Delta-8. I didn't know about CBD. But they were like, "Don't call your sponsor. Don't call your sponsor." Like, they legitimately said that to me. And I was like, so I probably shouldn't use this,
You're smart. And CBD is not safe. It does have THC in it. Some of them have large amount of THC in it, and the viewers should know that there is no regulation with CBD products that are anywhere except one product that's called Epidiolex that is approved through the FDA. And so all the CBD products that are on the market right now that even come from legal states contain contaminants like heavy metals, like pesticides, like fungicides. Marijuana, cannabis, hemp is a soil scrubber. It soaks up the heavy metals from the ground, and they don't always test for it. Or some of the legal states like Colorado have industry labs that test industry products. It's not through a third party or anything, and And these products are very dangerous, and they're being sold in smoke shops, gas stations, salons. I mean, pretty much anywhere, grocery stores, anywhere you go, they're being sold and marketed as safe and helpful. And here we have this experience. So I'm glad you wanted to call your sponsor.
Yeah. And so I'd like to share about cartridges for THC. Could I?
Yeah, you
Okay.
say whatever you want to say.
Because I feel like that's okay. So there's a huge part of like the high school, like the high school lifestyle or whatever you want to call it, to use THC carts, and most of them are like made by street dealers, put into high schools, and they are all full of pesticides. Literally all of them. Kingpin, Cali carts, Powerpuff carts, cookie carts, all of that comes into illegal states, and even the legal states, like I know it contains pesticides. I saw some stories on like how somebody sent their cartridges in to get tested, like a dab pen, or and they would send them in to get tested, and then it came back testing positive for pesticides. And those were the ones that came into our area, and it's terrible. And I would use these carts. I knew that it was full of pesticides, but I didn't care. What I did with the carts is I would use them with narcos, like hydrocodone, codeine, Oxy, Percocet, Vicodin, all stuff like that. And it would intensify the body euphoria and the mind euphoria, and therefore definitely making it more addictive. Like without that, it would not have been near as addictive as it was. I just wanted to say that.
Where were you getting these pills?
Well, again, on the street, friends, prescriptions, parents' houses. I used to be very desperate. I would go into like close friends' houses, go into their parents' cabinets, and I'd get the pills. Or people who had broken legs at school who, didn't really need the medication. They were like, I'm better off without this. Why don't I just sell it? So
That's important. So people, clean out your medicine cabinets. If you need the medication, lock it up. It's really important to do that. And then I'm glad you shared about the pesticides being in those vape products, those
yes.
cartridges, and all those terms you just used. Parents, pay attention to what Will just said. All those terms he just used. So when you hear your kids talk about this, or they're ordering it over the internet, carts is a popular term. It's short for cartridges. Dab pens, they are not safe. When the pesticides are heated to a certain temperature, they can turn to cyanide. So they're all around. These products are just not cool, not safe. The THC in them alone is not safe. It's going to cause mental illness, addiction. Will's testified that he became paranoid with them. So, even with the Delta-8 THC. So pay attention to what Will's saying. And Will, can you tell me why you want to speak out about this?
Well, so I want to become a addiction counselor for teens. So I've had this dream ever since I got into recovery 2 years ago when I was 16. I've had a lot of relapses since then. But me going back out, which is me starting to get high again for 3 months, that took away the dream of me wanting to become a recovery counselor. But now that I'm back in it and I want to live, that's why I want to speak out, so I can further help people,
Yeah, and we're so glad you are doing that, and I'm so glad you reached out to me, and I just want to share with the audience that the way I met Will is through the program I'm involved in. I do my recovery as a parent. I work my 12 steps. I have a sponsor, and that's the best thing I can do to influence the people around me and to make sure that I don't enable or become too codependent. I don't think my codependency will ever go away. They keep saying it will, but I don't know. I overly care. That's just like one of my character defaults. Parents, work your recovery program. Read the book Monsters to Miracles. Start with that. Go to meetings. Go to Al-Anon meetings. Go to Maranon meetings. Go to any meetings. When I'm really struggling, I have gone to AA meetings. I want to hear and learn from people that are struggling with addiction. And I've gone to Maranon meetings online. I've attended those when I had a really bad night one night, and I attended 2 in a row, and I felt so much better after talking to them, and I was welcomed and embraced, and they listened to me and gave me a lot of strength and hope. So Will is like, and I'm sorry I'm talking so much, Will, it's part of my character defect too.
Okay.
I really want the viewers to hear you, and I'm just really proud of you, and never give up. And I'm really glad you're here, but I wanted to share with the viewers that you were one of my host kids, and in the community, it takes a community for recovery, not just a program, not just inpatient, not just anything. It takes a whole community,
Yes.
a culture of recovery. And I'm not the only family in this program. There's multiple one of us that we all work together as a team, and we all just embrace each other and connect with each other. And Will was here, and I maybe, did you live here a month or 2 months? I can't remember.
2.
2 months, and it worked. It did well. I mean, he went on to a different home, but it all was good. And what do you think about the host family experience?
Well, I know that there are teen and sober groups all over the U.S., but I really think that it's a good idea to incorporate them into those, to get away, to have space from your family, to further work on yourself, maybe go to an outpatient group, stuff like that. It is very beneficial.
Yeah, and just to clarify too, like the host families in the program that we're part of, they're driven by the professionals in the program. So you have to be a winning family. You have to meet a certain criteria to be even asked to host. And then you're paired, it's not just me, but you're paired with one of your peers, a winning peer that provides a lot of positive peer pressure. And then I hang out with my winning peers, my parents' group. And then we have a lot of fun with activities and stuff. So Will is wanting to work his way back into that program that I'm part of, and he'll do it. He definitely will do it. He's capable of everything, and he will achieve his dream of becoming an addiction counselor. I see it, and I've seen his hard work, his dedication, and I see him struggle so he doesn't shame himself and lose his self-esteem through the slips that he's had and the relapses that he's had, because he just gets back on the horse and keeps working hard. So I just want the world to know that I'm really proud of you and I love you. And what else? I'm just gonna shut up now and just let you say whatever you want to say, unless you want me to keep asking you questions.
Keep asking me questions.
Okay, we've talked a long time, but it's been 23 minutes. Seems like we just started. What is your message to people your age that are struggling or think that marijuana is harmless? What is your message to them?
I am a heroin addict now. I started at weed. I know so many people whose lives are ruined just because of weed. You might think it's a harmless drug, but I know tons of people who are in recovery, who just have used marijuana. And people, stigma on weed is it's not as bad as the other drugs. It's like a lax drug. That's not a big deal. But that's what got me started. And also for me, I find the high very intense. I can't deal with it without panicking. And I felt like I had to use it to be accepted, because all of my friends were using it, and they always wanted to smoke with me, smoke, you know. And it, it like played a big part of my high school friendships, and I really do regret that. I really do regret that. But
Well, so to maybe there's somebody your age that's watching this video. What would be 3 recommendations to them if they are thinking of getting help and getting into recovery?
look up teen and sober groups in my area if you're in the U.S. I mean, look up AA meetings near me or AA meetings online, because there always are some, and maybe get with a LCDC recovery counselor and find out what the next best move is. Get into an inpatient or outpatient program too.
What if they're feeling so shameful and not worthy of getting help?
Well, I mean, you know, we're all worthy. We all deserve a better life than, you know, the crappy life we had before, which is using, being miserable the whole time. But yeah.
What is your message to parents, to family members that have loved ones that are struggling with addiction? What is something they can do?
So that's kind of a tough question. But get them, like, I would get them into recovery, but give them space once they get in.
Do you think they should hold strong boundaries?
Oh, yes, of course.
And loving boundaries and not shame. Because you've got some big, strong boundaries right now, don't you? And that's why you're in a sober living situation that isn't the most ideal, isn't the best sober living, and you have to pay your way to stay there.
Yes.
And I think you said it's costing you $100 a week.
Yes.
And they do provide 1 meal a day, but you said you're usually out trying to figure out how you can earn money. So you miss that meal. So you show up today, you're like, Miss Aubrey, can I have some food? I'm like, of course you can. And I think that parents are afraid to hold those boundaries. But I think if it's done in the right way, in a loving way, I think it's really driven you back to wanting to do better. And I see it.
Like, hurting my family over and over again, like, they had to hold strong boundaries. If I wasn't in the place I was in now, like, a really bad part of the city, if I wasn't getting sober in that place, I wouldn't have been getting sober. I'd be homeless and using, and that's just not worth it, you know?
So your family is not allowing you to live with them at this point.
No, they're not.
And that's why you have found the sober living. But even, like, what's even better is that you've already been introduced and part of a community that provides host homes. So you don't have to end up on the streets, you know?
Yes.
And that you can earn your way back into the program. So the program, the counselors in the program are holding strong boundaries with you too. And they're watching you, right? They're watching you do the work and really commit and surrender to your disease and, like, progress, you know, like, and that opportunity is there. You can work your way back. So I'm just saying to the parents, to the families out there, you gotta hold strong boundaries, you know. It's not like tough love, like you should never see your kid again. It's like drawing the line and holding that loving boundary without shaming and letting them know they're capable. They are so good. And then as you achieve each milestone, you're gaining your confidence back too. So okay, another question. Do you think marijuana should be legal?
No. Do you want me to go into depth?
Yeah, okay. Whatever you want to say. This is your opinion.
No, I mean, I don't feel like it should be legal. Even to help with anything, like, there are medications out there that are non-narcotic that can do just as much than, or, you know, even more, than weed can. I mean, weed, like, maybe it helps some people. I mean, probably not. But maybe it does actually help some people. But recreational use, stuff like that, no, it should not be legal. like alcohol helps some people, but no.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Probably not.
Cut that
right?
out.
Yeah, no, it's okay. We don't need to. That was really honest because I love the way you said, well, maybe we'd help some people, and then you're like, probably not. And then,
Yeah.
And then you're like, wait a minute, should I say that about alcohol too? I was like, really? I don't think there's any benefits.
No,
to
alcohol does not help. Maybe for like shots and stuff like that or cleaning, but
it's an intoxicant. So,
yeah.
like if you want to numb yourself, I get, they used it for like medical purposes
Yeah.
back in the day. Probably the same way they used marijuana, cannabis. It's an intoxicant, so
Yeah.
you can kind of dull the feelings, the sensations a little bit with it.
Yeah.
Doesn't take it all away, but yeah, that was good. That was a good conversation. Okay, so we need the elected officials to know and hear Will, and that's when Will found out what I do for a living now with all my volunteer work. I landed a job working for Parents Opposed to Pot, and now I spend all my time educating about marijuana and why it should not be legal, because it just adds another predatory addiction for profit industry into your community. It increases accessibility and decreases the perception of harms, period. And that's no solution to anybody's problems with drugs. And we have the biggest addiction mental health crisis we've ever had in our country. And now we are dealing with the hemp industry, and they are deceptive and dishonest and doing everything they can to target our youth again. And Will's testifying of that. So
Definitely.
Is there anything else you want to say?
No, but I feel like this was a really good interview. So.
Oh, awesome. Well, and if there's anything else in the future, you're always welcome
Of course.
to say it. I know when we were discussing this interview, I was like, I don't know, maybe we shouldn't interview you, and because you're just getting back into recovery again. And Will's like, oh no, I want you to interview.
Yeah.
Right? Because you wanna be a counselor and you want to help other people.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. Okay. I'm proud of you and I love you, and it's time for you to walk the dogs.
Okay. Love you too.
Okay. Bye-bye.